Your future may be shaped less by a few dramatic choices than by the small actions you repeat without thinking. Confidence, discipline, calmness, and happiness are not fixed traits that some people receive at birth. They are patterns your brain can learn. Each repeated thought and behavior strengthens a familiar mental route. The more often you travel that route, the easier it becomes to follow again. This is why motivation alone rarely creates lasting change. Motivation rises and falls, but repetition keeps teaching. Every promise you honor tells your mind something about your character. Every excuse you repeat sends a message as well. Over time, these messages become evidence that your brain uses to define who you are.
When you repeatedly call yourself shy, careless, or unreliable, those descriptions can begin to feel like facts. They may not be true, but familiarity makes them believable. The encouraging part is that the same process can work in your favor. Small, healthy actions can gradually make strength, peace, and self-respect feel normal. The following 10 habits are simple ways to guide that process. Many people spend today's energy trying to control events that have not happened. A delayed reply becomes imagined rejection. A small error becomes a fantasy about losing everything. One difficult conversation turns into a complete disaster inside the mind. Meanwhile, the actual present moment may be quiet and safe.
The body still reacts to those imagined scenes as though they are real threats. That is why worrying about possible futures can leave you physically and emotionally drained. When your thoughts begin racing ahead, stop and notice where you are. Ask whether the problem exists right now or only in your prediction. This question creates distance between reality and fear. It does not mean ignoring genuine responsibilities. It means dealing with real problems when they arrive, instead of suffering through invented versions in advance. Returning to the present teaches your nervous system that it does not need to sound the alarm for every possibility. Real confidence grows from knowing that you can rely on yourself. Think about what happens when another person repeatedly breaks their word. Eventually, you stop trusting what they say. Your mind responds in a similar way when you constantly abandon your own intentions. Each ignored commitment weakens the connection between what you say and what you do. Fortunately, rebuilding that connection does not require a major achievement. Choose promises small enough to complete even on an ordinary day. Drink the water you plan to drink. Read one page instead of promising an entire book. Walk for 5 minutes instead of waiting for the perfect workout. Complete the message, chore, or task you already said you would handle. Every finished promise gives your brain fresh evidence that your words matter. Repeated often, that evidence becomes self-trust, and self-trust becomes quiet confidence. Constant stimulation has made many people uncomfortable with empty space. They reach for a phone immediately after waking. They fill every line, meal, walk, and pause with content. Even silence is covered with music, videos, messages, or opinions. As a result, the mind rarely gets time to process what it has absorbed. Try protecting 5 minutes each day from all input. Do not scroll, listen, read, or search for anything during that time. You can sit still, walk slowly, or look through a window. At first, your brain may demand entertainment because it has learned to expect nonstop stimulation. Allow that discomfort to pass without obeying it. With practice, mental noise begins to settle. You may notice clearer thoughts, forgotten feelings, or useful ideas emerging on their own. A few unfilled minutes can restore more focus than another hour of distraction. Beginnings are naturally exciting because they offer novelty and possibility. A new plan can make you feel transformed before any real work has been done. That excitement explains why starting is often easier than continuing. When novelty disappears, many projects are abandoned for a newer idea.
However, identity is not built by collecting fresh starts. It is built by completing what you choose to begin.
Finishing even a modest task gives your mind a powerful message. It says that you are someone who follows things through. Instead of asking what new goal would feel exciting, ask what existing task can be closed today. Finish a chapter, complete a workout, send the delayed email, or organize one small area. The result does not need to impress anyone. Completion creates momentum because each ending makes the next ending feel more familiar. Celebrate the act of finishing, not only the rush of beginning. Your first emotional reaction often appears before conscious thought. It may come from old fears, past experiences, or habits of interpretation. You cannot always prevent that first wave. You can choose what happens immediately after it. When someone disappoints, criticizes, or provokes you, delay your response for a moment. Take one slow breath and count a few seconds. Then ask whether your planned reaction will improve tomorrow or merely release today's anger. This pause is small, but it interrupts automatic behavior. It can prevent an impulsive message, an unnecessary argument, or a painful regret. Pausing does not mean accepting disrespect or suppressing every feeling. It gives you time to respond according to your values instead of your impulse. Over time, the brain learns that emotions do not always require instant action. Sometimes restraint is the strongest response available. Mental energy is often consumed by choices that have little importance. What should you wear, eat, watch, answer, or do first? Each decision seems harmless, but hundreds of them create fatigue. By the end of the day, your ability to choose wisely may be weaker. This helps explain why people often abandon healthy plans in the evening. Reduce that burden by making routine choices in advance. Prepare a few regular meals, choose standard work periods, and create simple systems for repeated tasks. Consistency in small matters is not a sign of a boring life. It is a way to protect attention for decisions that deserve it. Your best mental energy should not be wasted on questions that make no meaningful difference. Use routines to remove friction where creativity is unnecessary. Keep flexibility for moments that genuinely require judgment. Fewer trivial decisions leave more strength for the choices that shape your future. Progress becomes frustrating when you inspect it too closely. A seed does not become stronger because you dig it up every morning to measure its roots. Personal growth also needs time to develop beneath the surface. 3 workouts will not remake your body. 1 week of meditation will not erase every anxious thought. A single healthy meal or good night of sleep cannot transform a life. Yet repeated hundreds of times, those actions create a different person. Stop demanding daily proof that the process is working. Measure whether you returned to the habit instead. Ask whether you showed up, even imperfectly. Most lasting change is built through ordinary days that feel unremarkable. Eventually, you will notice that situations that once overwhelmed you have become easier to handle. The change may seem sudden when you finally see it, even though it was being built quietly all along. The opening minutes of the morning influence the mental direction of the day. Many people wake up and immediately surrender their attention to notifications. Before they have checked in with themselves, they are reacting to messages, headlines, comparisons, and demands. This trains the mind to begin each day in a defensive state. Protect the first 10 minutes from outside noise. Take a few calm breaths before touching your phone. Stretch, drink water, stand in daylight, or sit quietly. You do not need an elaborate routine with many steps. The purpose is simply to begin from your own awareness. This reminds your brain that your attention belongs to you. A peaceful beginning cannot prevent every difficult event. It can, however, give you a steadier emotional starting point. When the day becomes chaotic, your mind has a calmer state to remember and return to. The language you repeat becomes part of the environment inside your mind. Notice how often ordinary responsibilities are described as burdens. Saying that you have to work, study, or exercise can make life feel like an endless sentence. Try replacing obligation with opportunity when the situation allows it. You get to learn, move your body, earn, contribute, or try again. The circumstances may remain identical, but your relationship with them can shift. Use the same care when describing yourself. Replace "I am terrible at this" with "I am still practicing this." Replace "I never change" with "I have not changed yet." The word "yet" keeps the future open. This is not about pretending every situation is wonderful.
It is about choosing language that supports effort rather than declaring defeat. Words shape expectations, and expectations quietly influence behavior. The mind has a natural tendency to review mistakes and threats at night. You may replay the awkward moment, unfinished task, missed chance, or wrong decision. This habit once helped humans learn from danger, but it can distort how you see your life. If every day ends with a list of failures, your brain begins to expect failure everywhere. Before sleeping, deliberately remember one thing you handled well. It can be a moment of patience, a short walk, a completed task, or a healthier choice. On a difficult day, simply getting through it may be the win. The example does not need to be dramatic. It only needs to be honest. This nightly practice teaches your attention to recognize progress as well as problems. Over time, improvement becomes easier to notice. That shift affects more than your mood because it changes the story you tell about yourself. When your repeated story includes evidence of growth, your identity begins to grow with it. These habits work because the brain learns through repeated experience. Discipline is not usually created in one heroic moment. It develops when disciplined actions are practiced until they feel ordinary. Calmness does not require a life without difficulty. It grows when you repeatedly choose steadier responses during difficult moments. Confidence is not a mysterious quality reserved for fortunate people. It is built whenever you keep a promise and prove that you can depend on yourself. This means your history does not have to control your direction. Past mistakes can teach you without becoming your permanent identity. Old patterns can feel powerful without being permanent. Each day offers another chance to provide your brain with different evidence. One thoughtful pause is evidence. One completed promise is evidence. One healthier decision is evidence. One moment of courage is evidence. Individually, these actions may appear too small to matter. Together, repeated over time, they can change what feels natural to you. Do not try to rebuild your entire life in a single morning. Choose one habit and practice it today. Then repeat it tomorrow until the new pattern begins to feel like part of who you are. Commit to that one habit for the next 7 days and observe what changes. Pay attention not only to your results, but also to the way you begin to see yourself. Share this message with someone who has been feeling overwhelmed or trapped in old patterns. Subscribe for more practical ideas about building a calmer, stronger, and happier mind. Your next life may begin with one small action that you finally decide to repeat.